Hi guys, John from Peach Guitars here. I'm here today with John Cruz from the Fender Custom Shop.
Hello.
Great to see you, John.
All right, John.
We're just hot off the heels of a question and answer session that we've been doing upstairs in the store. So I'm going to ask John all the same questions again, and he knows all the answers now. So everything's going to be really slick.
Now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. One thing that we didn't kind of touch on upstairs was really kind of how you got started working at Fender.
Yeah, that's kind of a long story, but I'll try to make it as bullet point and quick as possible. Cool. I started in 1987 with Fender on a whim because I had a buddy of mine that was playing in a band with me at the time that worked for another guitar company in Fullerton, and he had just started there, and he was really liking his job, and I was doing something else at the time, and he goes, "Oh man, you got to come down here and work with me, man. It's a great place. They make guitars all day long," and I was like, "Oh man, this is cool." So I went down there and tried to fill out an application and see if they would hire me. They weren't hiring at the time, but the secretary that was working up in front says, "You know what, we're not hiring right now, but the Fender that's down in Corona, California is hiring people right now. So if you wanted to take a jaunt down there, they can probably at least interview and maybe something come up." So I took a chance and I went down there and went inside, and I was completely blown away by what I was seeing happen. And I says, I got to do what I got to do to get in here. And I took the first job I could get, and it was basically working in the shop floor, basically sweeping up sawdust and cleaning up the machines and doing that kind of stuff. And I didn't care. I just wanted to be in. So.
And you was obviously heavily into playing guitar yourself then?
Yeah, I was playing pretty well, outside of working side jobs and stuff like that. I was working full time with the band, and we were playing around quite a bit, and playing at night and working during the day type of thing. So it was a day job for me, and which I loved it. I'm like, yeah, I got to get in here and I got to do it. So I took the job, and I just kind of worked my way up and just learning from everybody everything I could about Fender.
I guess, and then all of a sudden those JC marks used to start going on the necks and in the neck pockets.
When I got the call about a year later to move up to the neck sanding department on the line side, it was a long haul to learn how to shape necks correctly, and I had Herbie Gastelumi as one of the early neck shapers from 1961, and he's still there today. Even though he's not shaping necks anymore, but he's the one that trained me how to correctly shape a neck and what to look for and stuff like this. So I value all those teachings that I got from him in the early days, and I take it with me today, and I thank him for showing me that.
So you obviously then moved up to working at the start of the custom shop. I guess you was probably there in some of the earlier days of the custom shop.
Yeah, I got asked early on as I moved up from neck sander, and I worked through buff and polish for a little bit. Then I worked my way into the final department, which is where I wanted to be. This is on the line side, making pick art assemblies and putting pickups in and wiring and all that stuff. And then I got a call to work on the line tuner tester line, which was setting up guitars, which is what I wanted to do.
Sure, but that was a lot of people now who have got old like those Cunetto era relics. The first, the relics from they were like 95, 96.
Yeah,
your name was stamped on a lot of those, because you often see people selling John Cruz built guitars that were those early Cunetto aged guitars, or the early relic guitars and stuff as well.
Yeah, I was involved in it pretty early on when we started up the relic department at the custom shop. We weren't actually doing the relicing at the time. It was more about us prepping raw bodies and necks and sending it to an outside vendor who would take care of the relicing part for it, send them back to us as parts, and we would put the guitars together and build them and set them up and string them and be done with them. So yeah, I was involved in it very early on, but I was actually the guy that was taking bodies and necks that were essentially sanded to necks to specs from the line, and had to do extra sanding and try to make it as vintage as we could, which we did. And I already had that experience from neck sanding and all that, and getting them ready and stamping the names on them, everything, and sending them out for relicing. So that's what the earliest relic stuff was at with my name on them.
So when did you take kind of like the next level up to being like a full line builder, or was you wasn't a full line master builder when you did the Rory Gallagher guitar?
No, it was before that time. I was working with the custom shop already, basically setting up and helping out wherever I could in the shop. It was more a tuner tester, production worker in the custom shop, and working with some master builders at the time, which was a lot of fun doing that.
One of those you mentioned earlier was John English.
John English I worked with extensively. I worked with some of the other builders a little bit, from John Surr to Fred Stewart, Alan Hamill, a little bit with Gene Baker and Mark Kendrick and those guys, just a little bit doing stuff with pretty much everybody. Jay Black was another heavy influence, Artist Spars. So all those guys that were there that are gone now are guys that I worked with coming up. So I got to learn a little bit from every one of those guys and kind of apply it to what I already knew. So that definitely helped me.
And then you kind of, when did someone just come down from the office and say, right, John, you are now a master builder?
It wasn't quite that easy, but
no. But how did it go from what you was doing to now making your own guitars with your name on the?
Well, it kind of started out for me as more as an apprenticeship thing. Even though it wasn't an official apprenticeship program, they knew that I had the chops and that I had the desire, that I wanted to do it. And they gave me a couple projects to work on in the very beginning, which they could see that I could handle.
One, of course, was the Rory Gallagher.
Yeah, that was one of the early ones, and they knew that I had the chops. I already had the relicking skills.
Well, that was a hard guitar to do.
Well, it was a very hard guitar to do, and I had to make the first 40 guitars for our Arbiter dealer over in the UK.
I remember selling those guitars originally the first time around.
Apparently I missed it because they're gone already. So.
Yeah, they're all gone. They're all gone. But so obviously a lot of the guitars that you're famous for recreating, obviously, is one of my all-time favourite guitars is the Stevie Ray Vaughan No. 1 Strat. Mm-hmm. How do kind of projects like that, and how did you get assigned that project? Would it obviously been because of like the Rory Gallagher element, the extensive aging process? I'm just interested to see kind of like, was it like who's got the longest straw gets the deal kind of thing?
Well, at this point, I had just come on as a master builder, and I was already showing my chops for creating one-off type guitars I could do. Originally, the Stevie Ray Vaughan project was supposed to go to the late John English, but he was to the point where I'm at now, where he had so many back orders and stuff, he didn't have the time to dedicate to doing the prototype and all stuff, which was, we were under the gun to get these done by a certain point. A lot of attention to detail on that. Yeah, so Mike Eldred, who was the person, marketing guy at the time, came to me and asked me, would you be interested in doing it? And I said, yeah, for sure. I would love to do it, because Stevie's one of my heroes as well. Yeah. I didn't get to see the guitar essentially at the beginning, but they had all the documentation, pictures, extensive video, all that stuff. I took it home with me, actually, even over the weekends, spending long times watching it over and over on the TV and reading up on it and doing all the things that I could to figure out and learn the guitar I could. I was able to come up with a pretty decent prototype. I think that worked out really well. That
guitar's got to be one of the most valuable non-vintage Fenders that's you can get, if not probably the most. I know there was the Harley Davidson Strat and the Playboy one and stuff like that, but in terms of a player's guitar, like the Monterey Strat was another cool one, but in terms of the ultimate, in my opinion, it's the best sounding Strat ever.
Right.
And to be able to do that kind of project is a really, really cool thing, which obviously leads us on to something that we're going to be seeing very soon, is the Gary Moore one, which is obviously something that's from just being friends on Facebook and seeing the things that you post and talking to you in the past. I know he's obviously a massive hero.
Yeah.
How did that project come about?
Well, that was something that I wanted to bring to life long ago, and I had talked to Mike Eldred again about doing it, and he says, that sounds okay. It wasn't really on hip to it at first, and then a few months went by and I didn't hear anything back, and I'm thinking, man, it's not going to happen. He finally came back to me one day and says, man, this isn't going to happen, because his affiliation with the other guitar company that he was with for so many years. But so we had to let it go, and I was kind of upset about it, but I always had it in the back of my mind that one day I'm going to do that guitar. We're going to make it happen. I'll push it. So a few years goes by, and of course the passing of Gary was it was just the worst thing that ever happened for as far as artists go, because he was my hero, my all-time hero. And it was a few months later, I decided, I'm going to bring this to the plate again with our new marketing manager and vice presidents and stuff, and I felt really strongly about it. It was a good time
to do it. Yeah.
They knew it. I says, right now would be a good time to do this. And a lot of these guys didn't really know a whole lot about Gary's early affiliation with Fender. They knew him as a Gibson guy and still got the blues guy, which was great, but they didn't know his early history with the Fender.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a lot of that old stuff you see him playing on like Super Strats and Charvels and things like that, don't you? Which is still the direct descendant of a Strat, isn't it? So so we're really excited to see that one. Obviously, you've done the Malmsteen one. I had this is my own Stevie I haven't quite got a number one, but this is as close as I'm ever going to get, I suppose, unless that one that I know that's available, that SRV number one, I know a man who's got one, and whether he'll sell it to me.
Right.
I've got to wait for him to retire, and then he's going to sell it to me, hopefully.
Yeah.
But this is a Lenny Strat that you made.
Yeah.
The Lenny Strat obviously was a guitar that was owned by Guitar Centre, wasn't it? And they commissioned the run, and obviously a few came into Europe. So I was really pleased when we took delivery, because you couldn't choose which Masterbuilder it was coming from, and when it turned up with your name, with your initials on there, I was really, really pleased.
Oh, that's very cool.
So
very nice of you.
So
this is a labor-intensive guitar as well. Yeah. This is something that Jason Smith, one of our other builders, took the helm on, and to do the prototype and do the first, I think, 10 or 15 guitars on his own. And he got a little overwhelmed with it. That's when they decided, we're going to bring all the other master builders in to do them as well. Yeah. Me already having the experience of doing relative stuff.
And you probably knew that guitar.
Yeah, I kind of did. Yeah. Not as well as the SRV number one, but this was another one that was I was kind of wish they would have come to me, but I didn't want to feel greedy at all. I was like, I'm going to share the love a little bit. Let everybody else get involved. No. And Jason did a beautiful job on the guitar. He really did. And us being able to get our hands on it and do our thing to it made it that much more special.
It's got some really cool stuff underneath the plate. It's all got like that copper shielding under there, and it definitely when you plug it in, it sounds exactly kind of how you imagine it would do. But from what I've read, like that copper shielding kind of, does it lower the inductance maybe, and kind of it almost sounds like the guitar has a slightly lower pitch almost. It's got a real sweet top end to the sound of the guitar.
Yeah, I don't honestly know how much it changes the tone of the guitar. It's more about trying to get the noise level down on the guitar a little bit more. In fact, Gary's red Strat that we're doing right now, it's the same thing. It's copper shielding underneath.
I guess that was a thing in the 80s that a lot of the techs would do.
Oh yeah,
before.
Because they would have nightmare things in different stages around the world with different lighting and stuff. So that would kind of help it a little bit as well, I think. It was more about that, not about changing the tone of the guitar, even though some people with the cosmic ears out there would think, it changes the tone completely, which I don't know if I believe that full on, but it definitely helps as far as noise reduction and that. So this was part of the thing that Stevie's guitar had.
I think with that one, I played it and thought, I can't be going out and using this guitar because I'm going to be like, hey, look at that guy. And then I was convinced that the copper, the shielding and stuff like that was going to, if I did that to one of my other guitars, it was going to make it sound like that one. But I know a lot not that now.
Definitely. It's a great piece though, man.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, with that, the big frets and that big old doink on the bottom and that huge string on there as well. No, I love that guitar.
Very cool.
I'll put that one back there. So, kind of like moving over to a question that we kind of get asked a lot when customers come in, what's the difference between a USA production guitar like an American Pro and a team-built custom shop guitar? It's fairly easy for us to say, the custom shop guitars, hand-wheel pickups, lightweight bodies, blah, 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 blah. They get the best pick of the woods. It's probably easier and the complete ins and outs of it. What is the main difference between, say, someone coming in and buying a team-built guitar at £3,000 or one of your guitars, that's £5,000-6,000 and above? What sort of makes a Masterbuilt guitar? I know what it is, but you can tell it better than me.
Yeah, it's more about the individual attention to detail in each one of the guitars that we do. For the most part, when a person places an order for a Masterbuilt guitar, and it's specified that they want dealer contact or customer contact, we will call that customer and talk to them one-on-one. And I like to gather information from the person to kind of learn more about them, like what kind of music you play, what strings do you use, what amps do you use, all that kind of stuff plays into overall giving them the ultimate driving machine, so to speak.
And then if we was going along and then, you both come to the conclusion that, this pickup, another pickup would be better suited to them. Is that something that can then easily be changed? Or yeah.
We do that. Sometimes they'll tell us, I want to use a set of lace sensors here and some Abbey hand wounds up here, and on the first thing I'll ask was, why do you want to do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I always heard that the lace sensors are cool. That's cool, but if you did 3 Abbey hand wounds in that position, I think you'd be much happier. So a lot of times we'll come to a happy medium and talking to that person, and we'll come to a mutual
Because sometimes,
agreement.
As we all know, something when it's written down on a piece of paper isn't necessarily going to be a great guitar, is it? So it takes a...
Well, they trust us a lot of times to be able to help them make the decision to give them their ultimate guitar. And that's what we're there for, to add suggestions with our experience of knowing the product and knowing our components that we use and stuff like that. We suggest the best components for their ultimate guitar.
Yeah, and one thing that you can instantly notice from my experience of a Masterbuilt guitar is as soon as you put your hand around the neck, you can, especially with your guitars, you know, I was saying to you earlier, I could see one of your guitars hanging on the wall, the way that you age the guitars, and put my hand around the neck and I know it's one of yours. And it's really cool that each of the Masterbuilders have their own kind of sonic imprint that they put on and their own little signature stamp on all the guitars. And even though the roots are totally obviously still Fender, it's still got a person's kind of feel and a vibe to it, hasn't it? So, and we've definitely seen it with Dale Wilson's guitars, yours as well, Yuri's guitars. You know, I can see an NOS guitar and you just know it's one of your fantastic Yuri
guitars. You got
guitar.
8 different builders with 8 different mindsets of how a guitar should be built. We're all under the same umbrella. We all build essentially the same style guitars, but with our own little personality, each one of it. So it's up to the customer to do some research. Go online, go to the custom shop website where we have bios on each one of the builders. You can kind of learn about us, see who we built for, see the type of guitars we build, and you can make a decision from there. If you want a guitar built for me, I'd be flattered to do it for you. If you want one built by Yuri Shishkov, he'd be happy to do it for you, and the same with all the other builders.
And you're definitely known for the relics and the heavier relics.
Finishes. I've done quite a few of those, and I think that's kind of my forte, really. But I also want to show the world that I can build a NOS guitar.
But that blue one that we've just bought
is a good example for it.
That's got a killer. We'll feature the guitar anyway once we've edited the video. It's got a really cool like blue metallic sparkle kind of finish on there as well. We'll get some photos of that one up there shortly, just to show John can do, you know, some more blingy stuff as well. But you are still a rocker at heart, and you like those heavy relics. So me and John could talk all day about guitars. If you've got any questions that you want to ask to John via us, send us across an email or put a comment on the video, and we'll come back to you as soon as we can. But I just want to say thanks for coming to see us, John.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure to see you. So thanks everyone. Cheers. Bye bye.